Are you tired of the hiring headaches? In this episode, you'll discover why resumes don't tell the full story, why hiring fast and proactively is a must, and how the job market has evolved, especially for medical professionals. Are you ready to build a better team and elevate your business? Now's the time to take the first step towards stress free hiring. So, listen in on Profit with a Plan to revolutionize your hiring process. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you ready to boost your profit and grow your business? Welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we share strategies to help you scale your company, increase your profitability, and set up for a successful exit. I'm your host, Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to build highly profitable and sale ready businesses. That's more profits now and a bigger payout later on. By the way, today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. And if you're ready to take your business to the next level, go visit infiniteprofitconsulting.com. All right, before we dive in, I've got something special for you. So I found that many of us are feeling like we're doing everything right, but we're still not seeing the results that we want. Well, it might be time for some fresh perspectives. That's why I'm offering a free growth and marketing audit. In just one powerful session, we'll uncover opportunities to drive growth, real growth for your business. Are you ready to make an impact? Go visit profitbooster.biz and let's get started already. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Our guest today is Dr. Mike Neal. He's a practicing optometrist and the co founder of Lakeside Vision in Holly, Pennsylvania, and the CEO of Build My Team. After struggling with traditional hiring methods in his own practice, he developed an assessment based hiring system that ensures long term employee success. Through Build My Team, Dr. Neal now helps medical professionals overcome staffing challenges and focuses on what matters most, growing their practice. All right, Dr. Mike, welcome to Profit with a Plan today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you
Yeah.
today, Marcia.
It's such an important topic
Hmm.
that business owners often think about it kind of last minute or in a huff that they're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing Susie Q. I need to hire somebody. Or, wow, we're just
Hmm.
at the max level. I need to hire somebody. And they never take the time to create a really solid process that would ensure the success of one of their most valuable assets, their team
Absolutely.
members.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
how
And
did you come up with this kind of thing? I mean, in the bio, we said that, kind of introduced it, but where really did it
yeah,
come from?
well, I was the person you just described. Didn't take the time to put the process in place, and most importantly, had no idea what the process could be, would be, should be. It doesn't matter. I was clueless. So what I ended up doing was taking a look at how companies like the Four Seasons, Disney, and a company called Strategic Coach, how these types of service organizations were doing their hiring, modeled uh, their hiring process, found out that we had to do a whole bunch of special things for small businesses, and was able to build that. And so now we're at a point where we're reliably hiring administrative team members for businesses all throughout North America. It's a mostly automated process, and it has gotten me out of the absolute nightmare of hiring, looking for talent. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So describe a little bit of that nightmare because I think people that are, in the hiring space, they may not realize truly the challenges that they're
Yeah.
facing, and more often the unlucky results that come from an unpracticed hiring.
Oh, absolutely. Boy, I mean, we could do a PhD on this whole discussion, not even a podcast, but it's just relentless right now for small business owners and trying to get great talent on your team. At Build My Team, we talk about A players, and those are the
Mhm.
folks that run businesses. They do a
Mhm.
stupendous job. You're not having to babysit them, spoon feed them, any of that type of thing. So how does a small business owner get those types of people on the team? And how do you also reject the what we call the C players or worse? How do you get those off your team and make sure you're not attracting anymore? And that's a process that we've been able to do extraordinarily well at.
That's amazing. I've heard about A players, but Mike, isn't it really expensive to get an A player? I mean, there's only the top cream of the crop,
Yeah.
right? And why would they want to come to a small company?
Well, first off, you got to find an A player who doesn't know they're an A player.
Ah,
That's issue number one. Um, and we do that. So why would they want to come to a small company? Oh, it's fantastic. Things like contribution. You're rolling in as one of 10,000 people in a company. What's your contribution? Does your job matter? Does what you do make a difference every day? Nah. One could have a solid discussion as to whether or not you do. Small business, different story.
mm,
Our where we're at in where we started in healthcare with this, everybody in a healthcare practice makes an impact on patients, on improving qualities of life, you name it. In a small business, let's say you're a secretary or a bookkeeper or any one of the administrative team members, you're doing all kinds of different stuff every day. Your job matters. What you do makes an impact to the customers of the business, whether they be patients, customers, or otherwise.
I love it. And you know what? You're 100% right on it because they do
Mm.
so much more. They may not be
Yeah,
making the cash register ring, but they're allowing the people that do make the cash register ring to focus
right.
on what their real job and roles
Mhm.
are.
Well, a good example of that is as a doctor in a practice, I get all of the credit and I provide exactly this much of making the business run, the practice run. The team does everything, but you know, the, the, the doctor gets the credit. The owner gets the credit in a business, the whatever it might be. But without those team members, there is no business. We'll have
Agreed.
to remember that. Um,
Agreed.
there aren't enough hours in the day for a lone wolf to get everything done without team members.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, my
Yeah.
goodness, we try and stack all that on. I mean, most of
Hmm.
us know that when you first come out of the gate, you're usually a solopreneur,
Of
and then
course.
you hire
Yeah.
your first person and move on. But for
Yeah.
any kind of real business, their asset is their employees because they're actually doing the work for you. They're helping the customers. They're
Yeah.
solving the problems that, one person can't do alone. So I love
Right.
that you're really promoting the idea of having great team members.
And the thing is, you talk about problem solving. Well, what kind of problem can an A player solve versus what
Mm.
kind of problem can a C player solve? It's a trick question. C players aren't solving problems. They're
Mm,
causing them for your business.
really? That's amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, so now that we've kind of identified the value of an employee, which duh, we should all know, but I always like to kind of put that in there because it
It's a
really
grounding
is
discussion.
important.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at bringing on team members and we're trying to manage the cost versus the effort versus the type of person we're bringing in, you've told us that you have this process that you go through.
Sure do. Mhm.
How do we choose that right person?
So right off the bat, we are not using resumes for hiring. And everybody's like, "Whoa, this guy's
What?
this guy's from the moon. He's an alien. What's going on?"
Wait, you
Well,
mean all that fluffy stuff they built in on that page that talks really about nothing about their qualities or is
well,
is no good?
that's very generous of you. Fluffy is a that also starts with F, and false starts with F, and I mean, most of it is complete garbage. It is made up.
Of course.
And if you don't believe that, you simply haven't done enough verification on resumes. And the
Mm,
point is, you can't verify them anymore. It's a non-starter for companies. So we don't use resumes until
I
the
see.
very end of our process. What we're using are it's a process. It's a an assessment process that we developed, and the whole point of it is to determine what a candidate's strengths and talents are, which are their
Mm,
natural strengths and talents. What do they do better than just about everybody else? What do they do as soon as they roll out of bed in the morning? What do they do so well? It's not even special to them. And we identify those.
wow.
And then we take and match those people who have the correct strengths and talents for the role that you're hiring for. And when you match somebody where it's a proverbial round peg, round hole. Square peg,
Love it.
square hole, not the other way around. What it does is it makes magic. And you've got somebody who's showing up for work every day who does an incredible job, who just doesn't get why everybody's so excited about them. They're like, why can't everybody do this? Well, truth is, most people can't, but you can.
Mhm.
You're special. You don't realize you're special. That's what I said about the A players who don't realize they're A players. And you give these folks a clear vision and you give them the resources they need to blow it out of the water, to do an incredible job. And that's what they're going to do.
Wow. What that sounds like a dream, right? To
It
get
is.
that
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
person that you don't have to do a lot of training with, right? Because
Right.
they're already a natural at doing what you're asking them to do.
Yeah.
And they're probably a forethinker or a cognitive thinker and going, okay, so, I think there's a way I can do this nicely, and then you
Hmm.
you let them run. What?
We don't, yeah,
I don't have to
absolutely.
babysit?
Uh, no babysitting, no spoon feeding, nobody gets led around on a leash, nothing like that. One of the things we measure for these candidates is how fast they learn.
Mm,
So a lot of times we hear from small businesses, well, I don't have time to train them. You do. You've got a little bit of time. But what you're really saying is I don't have time to train them over and over again. This
yeah.
person's got to hit the ground running. They need to learn quickly. And things like I don't know, only want to tell them something once. I don't want to have to re-explain myself. I don't want Tuesday to be the same as Monday and Wednesday to be the same as Tuesday. None of that stuff. What we're looking for are people who learn really quickly and who have those natural strengths and talents. And that's what we've developed as a process that delivers that reliably over and over again.
Wow, again, it just sounds like a dream. Okay, so when we get that person on board,
Yeah.
if you're hiring right the first time and you're
Hmm.
putting them into a position that they're already naturally comfortable in and can excel in, I'm
Hmm.
just like, snowballing the forward movement, thinking, I don't have to spend a lot of money rehiring this person five
Right.
times over and
Hmm.
firing them and causing the problems and slowing down to keep everything going. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of benefits to spending the
Yes.
time and energy up front to hire the right person. Is this a long process or is it something that can be shortened or, over a couple of interviews?
Oh, terrific question. Well, first of all, from the business owner standpoint, it's incredibly short. It requires about an hour's worth of work total to hire somebody. Our team
What?
does everything. They write the job description, publish it to 22 different job boards. So we get a gazillion candidates, and they're all run through our screening process. What that translates to from a business owner standpoint, you're not having to, it's not death by a thousand paper cuts on your resumes. You're actually back to running your business. You're back to doing the things that you need to do as an owner, and you're not drowning in any of this stuff. And it's a very I have to mention too, because the next thing a person's thinking about is, wow, that sounds great. Must cost a fortune. It doesn't by any means. It's mostly automated. So it's a very affordable service. But what you hit the nail on the head about is the owner has to go back to actually running the business, doing that type of work. You can't be spending half of your day on HR type related issues
I
and
know.
expect your business to succeed. We all know it's not going to
Well,
work.
if you think about it, yeah, the normal process is you put it out on one of those services, right?
Yeah.
The job boards, and you get all
Yeah.
these people. Then you got to read through, and then you got to go, well, I like this person, I don't like that person, I like this person, I don't like that person. Then you got to play phone tag and appointment tag. Then you got to sit down and interview them. And then you've got to narrow the time. You just said I'm thinking this is like,
Yeah.
a solid week or two of,
Hmm.
8-hour days to hire somebody,
Yep.
cumulative versus an hour. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. And as far as the elapsed time frame, it depends on the applicant pool, but we're looking at almost all roles filled in a couple of weeks to a month. And so
Wow.
you mentioned, 1 to 2 weeks of full time. It's not 1 to 2 weeks of full time per se, but it's an hour here, an hour there, 2 hours here, and it's just prolonged ridiculousness. And that's
And
where
then and then when it gets down to the narrow time, you're like, "Okay, I'm done with this.
you're
John, you got it."
cooked.
Okay,
Yes,
because I'm
exactly.
exhausted.
You just basically throw in the towel and you hire a heartbeat, and then you find out in a couple of weeks after spending a bunch of money and time that it all has to be repeated again. That's what we avoid with the build my team process.
I love it. Okay, so now that we're doing this, I know that one of the things that helps when you're hiring somebody is
Hmm.
to do a little soul searching on your side as the business owner, right?
Right.
There's got to be a list of things that I need to come prepared with before I turn over a hiring process to someone like you and your team, right?
Right.
What are some of those things?
Well, you don't have to think about much of any of it because we start off with a consultation call. It's free, of course. What our team's going to do is interview you. And we're going to ask all of these questions, a whole bunch of stuff you haven't even thought of, and get that information. And it's used to not only write the job description, but it's also used to narrow down the type of candidate you're looking for. A lot of small businesses want somebody who will do 10 different things
Of
in their
course.
business.
And do them yesterday.
Well, right, exactly. Those days are over as far as hiring. You're not going to get that type of person nowadays. What you will get is a fantastic person who can do a couple of things really, really, really well.
Mm,
And what we always suggest with small businesses is, as the owner, you make a list of the stuff you hate.
yes.
You can't stand doing all of these things. Well, start at the top, prioritize them with you'd rather have flaming bamboo stuck under your fingernails than do X task. And those are the areas where we take a look at replacing you. Bringing somebody in who, believe it or not, can't wait to do those things that you can't stand. It's
Love
a,
it.
it's a, it happens all the time. It works incredibly effectively. And you have to just pause for a second and think, if I never had to do that again, how much stress reduction would that be in my life?
Right? And finding somebody that loves to do that, whether it's
Exactly.
organizing paper clips or
Yeah.
creating your next marketing thing. So
Right.
speaking of that, is this for every type of role that we could have in our company? Could we use this process for that?
We are excellent at administrative team members. So again, we grew out of healthcare,
Hmm.
where these are I forgot to mention in-person people. These are folks that show up in your business.
Mm.
Um, so any type of administrative role within your business, we've hired all kinds of different roles. For example, a lot of our doctor clients wanted us to help them with nannies. Well, we do that. We do a
Wow.
bunch of different things. So, what I would, if anybody's listening and scratching their head, wondering if we do, we hire for X role, pick up the phone and call. You
Wow,
get,
I love
yeah.
it. I would think though that this process, even though that's your specialty though, a process
Hmm.
similar to yours could be really valuable in hiring the everybody on the team. I mean, the
Yeah.
salesperson, right? They need to have that, yeah, that go getter sales thing, but a lot of them are full of fluff saying, "Oh, I'm so great. Look at my peacock feathers" as they walk around. But then when they get
Right.
into the role, they don't perform the way they should, right? They don't
Right.
follow the instructions or do the
Yeah.
things. I mean,
Hmm.
even marketing, right? Or skills or especially like you mentioned, customer engagement.
Hmm.
Seems
Yeah.
like this
Salespeople.
process.
Well, salespeople are fascinating because I'm the best salesperson on the planet if you ask me as a salesperson, right? Do
Yes.
you know what I mean? And the reality is that most of them most certainly are not. Any seasoned business owner will check that box in a hurry. So one of the things we're looking for, kind of behind the scenes, if you will, the rest of the iceberg, other than the tip of the iceberg, is
Mm.
whether or not they can sell. That's an extremely useful piece of knowledge about a person. Um, they don't tell us, they don't answer. It's all part of the assessment process, where at the end of it, especially with younger people, we're going to know more about their strengths and talents than the candidate themselves does.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so when the candidate comes in, okay, so
Hmm.
you've done the initial research with the business owner.
Yeah.
Your team has developed the business or the job description, and they put the
Sure.
ads out. So I'm one of the applicants, and I apply for the position.
Hmm.
Um, how long does that process for me as the applicant take?
Yeah, you betcha. Well, first off, and this is a tip to all listeners, you have to hire incredibly quickly. So, to give you an example of how fast that can happen, what Build My Team does is as soon as a candidate clicks the apply button on one of the job boards, within 5 seconds, their cell phone gets a bing.
Oh, that's
And
what you mean hiring quickly. I was like, wait a minute, you have to do all this due diligence first before you hire.
well, yeah, we that's part of it, but we move immediately, 5 seconds. We used to be 10 seconds. It wasn't fast enough. Why? Because they were already moving on to the next job. They're already applying for the next thing.
Hmm.
15 seconds out, they don't remember what they just applied for. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't
No, I
believe me,
can't
get
remember
on
where
one of
I
these
went into the
job
kitchen
boards.
for many times, so
Yeah.
I got you.
Exactly. So as soon as they get that link sent to their cell phone, they can start on the assessment process. It
Mm.
only takes about 10, 15 minutes, depending on the person and how far they get. Um, a large percentage of them, right off the bat, don't do a single thing. They don't lift a finger. You're asking me to do something? I'm not going to do a something. And that's awesome because
You
right
don't
off the
want them
bat,
anyways.
they exit our process in a really nice, gentle, smiley, huggy way. But those are folks that who will submit a resume to your business and 100% complete waste of time. What kind of employee are they going to be if you ask them up front to do a small thing and they already are balking at it? So a huge advantage for Build My Team clients is they're not wasting time on these tire kickers, or folks don't even have the energy to walk up and kick the tires. That's even worse.
Mm.
So once they start the process, they go through, and at each different level of our assessments, if they continue, great. If they don't, they exit, or if they don't pass that part of the assessment, we exit them gently from the process. At the end of it, what happens is you've got a couple of people who will we know can do the job. That's about a 97% level of certainty that they can do the job. Then we send them a video interview, and the video interview is looking for things like how they would represent your business. How
Mm.
do they communicate? A bunch of stuff like that. There's a whole ton of intangibles I won't get into. But at the end of that, we send over, excuse me, we send over the finalist candidates to the business owner. And at that point, they can go eeny, meeny, miny, mo and pick a new team member um, that will work really, really well within the practice. And out of the team member or the potential candidates we send, folks generally tend to pick the one that they like best, that they think would fit the culture best, whatever it might be. But we also know, as I said, with 97% accuracy, that they can do the job. So that's a completely different approach to the
That's
standard
amazing.
interviewing process and resumes.
That's an amazing process because, like I said, it's such a headache for the business owner and the
Yep.
HR team to field through all of these things to
Hmm.
hope and guess that
Right.
John's going to be the right guy.
Yep.
Let me ask you a question though. I was thinking with this survey, right? With those, if this happens, how do you react? What, out of 1 to 5, what are you going to do? Are there ways to kind of cheat that test?
Well, we don't
And
ask questions like that up front. No,
oh,
this is a completely different approach. We're not asking them what they're good at. We're not asking them what they're bad at. We're asking them stuff that is not gameable. However,
mm,
you made a great point. If they're trying to game the whole thing and
it comes
and
out wonky,
provide
huh?
oh, it does flags all over the place. Our
Ah,
software will have it flagged, and then at that point, we just move on to the people who aren't trying to game the whole thing.
I love this. This sounds like a dream hiring for any business owner or HR team that
Hmm.
is trying to build people and bring it in because they've got,
Yeah.
in reality, we've got way too much to do than to sit
Right.
there and sift through resumes and talk to people that are, full of beans and, really
Hmm.
aren't in the right role. So why not take the cream of the crop and find those hidden A player gems
Yeah.
and bring them onto your team?
Hmm.
And wow, I love it. So it sounds like you're finding everyday people that would fit well in their role and develop to A players and not having to go out and go, oh, well, we're all competing for Susie
Right.
Q, and now I've got to be in a
Yeah.
bidding war to hire her at,
Yeah.
120% of what I can afford to pay her.
And in our model, the candidate throws out the first dollar amount, the cost per hour as to what they're looking for. Oh, yeah, we
Ah.
have this completely dialed. So, what we're avoiding at all costs is that exact situation where you said, where there's a level of scarcity, there's not enough people to do the job. So, it becomes a bidding war. We do not run into that situation at all because by design, our process doesn't work that way. We want the undiscovered talent. We're
Right.
looking for the needle in the stack of needles. And we're able to find these folks. So when we bring them to your business, they are appreciative, grateful, thankful, excited. They're not coming in saying, "Well, I did this down the road for this other guy, and we did it this way." And you're not having to sit there and say, "Okay, we're going to try and take this dinosaur. We're going to try to train it to not be a dinosaur anymore. And then we're going to try to train it to do new things." Well, we don't deal with that. What we do is bring that smart person in right away. There aren't bad habits. They get cracking with your way of doing things. They learn very quickly and they just adopt that moving forward. They don't have those bad habits. They don't have the axe to grind, the we did it this way before. And any
Anything
experienced
to stand
business
up and
owner,
prove on, right?
yeah, any experienced business owner will know that it is a colossal, almost bordering on ridiculous task to try and get people to unlearn things and do things a new way. It takes much, much longer than just starting with somebody who can kick butt on day one and get rolling.
Well, see, that's why I was like, the comparison of the real A player that thinks
Yeah.
they're an A player or have been an A player for a long time. Originally I asked how could small business owners ever get this? And now
Yeah.
you've just proven the point that we don't need those A players. We need to bring players that we can turn into A
Right.
players naturally in our own business.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, they just walk through the door with the potential to do exactly that. And I've lived this for several years now in our own business. I would say, for myself personally, it's hard to, you can't say this exactly, but maybe 90, 95% stress reduction on an average day. I
Oh my
just don't get
gosh.
wound up at work because my team does the work.
Mm.
Patients will ask me for answers in the exam room. I just defer. Oh, I'm not an expert in that. They look at me like, well, you know, I'm an expert on the medical side, but not on billing, not on scheduling, not on all those types of things. We have team members who are experts, and I tell them they'd be really upset if I try to do their job for them. I don't have
I
to
would mess it
because
up, right?
yeah, they're 10 times better at all that stuff than I am. And that's the type of mentality shift, the mindset shift from the owner where we don't do it that way anymore. I'm not trying to do all the jobs in the building. What I'm trying to do instead is provide the vision. So I'm I'm providing the map for the bus. The team members are on the bus. They're on the right in the right seats on the bus and they're driving the bus. So I provide that map, tell them to drive as fast as possible. And my role is to have a crystal clear map and put guardrails on the road. Those are my two roles. If I do that correctly
Cool.
with those team members, that bus will accomplish more than you ever possibly could do by yourself or with the standard way of hiring.
Brilliant. Because what's the challenge that all small business owners have? They're wearing too many hats, trying to do
Yeah.
too many things, and they're fearful of hiring, right?
Right.
Because, oh, I can do it easier, faster, better, than the person I'm hiring. But if you go through this process and you hire quickly and accurately, you're
Yep.
going to find that hidden gem
Hmm.
and you're going to be able to do all that we decided we wanted when we got into this entrepreneurial is have the lifestyle and the freedom
Hmm.
and the creativity and vision that we wanted in our company
Yeah.
without having to drag everybody along. This is
If
fantastic.
if you look at virtually all small businesses that become very successful and become, medium sized or even larger enterprises, one of the top three things that the owner, the CEO does incredibly effectively is talent.
Mm,
They are talent magnets. You would be hard pressed to find a very successful company where that's not the case because the team is the one they're the people that grow the business like crazy. They become, especially with A players, you don't tell them how to do something. Oh my goodness, no. Give them a goal. They're going to come up with a way you couldn't think of in 100 years to accomplish this. They'll do it incredibly quickly. Your head's going to spin. That's what I'm used to now. Is having
that's
team
the
members
that's
where I
the new
sit back and
standard,
think,
right?
yeah, I sit back and think, oh my goodness. thank God I got out of the way of this person. Just let them be
Isn't that the truth?
themselves. Yeah. Hmm.
Isn't that the truth? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Mike, this has been brilliant. And what a refreshing way to hire somebody rather than going through all the process and heavy lifting and all
Yeah.
this stuff when if we just ask them the right questions in the first place, we can,
Hmm.
kick everybody else to the curb and narrow down our choices. And then we end up getting a highly probable candidate that we can work with for years to come. So I
Yeah.
love it. But where can listeners
Absolutely.
find out more about you and this fantastic process?
Absolutely. Well, it's really easy. Go to www.buildmyteam.com. And this whole process starts for folks by scheduling a consultation call. You get on the horn with one of our people. They will ask you a bunch of questions. You tell them, be as honest as you can. Tell them all the skeletons in the closet. We've heard it all. The more information that you can tell our team, the more accurate the matching is, and the more we can help you. And that's what they love to do. We love to help folks.
Oh, nice, nice. Okay, and you mentioned something, you don't have to throw any number out, but you mentioned that this
Mhm.
is a reasonable service, right? It's not gonna be thousands and thousands and thousands of
Oh,
dollars to
goodness.
hire somebody.
It's a fixed cost per role. It doesn't depend on how much they make. We don't want that to happen because we want you to minimize what you're going to pay for these outstanding people. It's extremely affordable. We have two different pricing models. One where you're hiring one person at a time type thing, and one where you're hiring quite a few more than that. Most people are surprised, very surprised by the cost.
I love it,
So
I love it. So it's
um,
reasonable on top of being, like, totally efficient and effective, it's
yeah.
reasonable,
Well,
so
I think
what
the
a
most
gem.
important thing is you're saving a ton of money using our approach versus doing it yourself, no matter how you slice it. Yeah.
It's people dread hiring because of the
Hmm.
things that they have to do and the emotional decisions that they have to make,
Right.
and then the fear that they did it wrong and they're gonna have to fire somebody later on. They
Yeah.
just tend to, like, especially in the earlier phases, they just tend to avoid it or
Right.
get to a certain point and just, like you said, throw in the towel and grab the next
Yeah.
person that comes through
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's
You don't have to be
exhausting.
good at this. Just have our team do it. All you have to be good at is describing what you need to have done,
I
and
love it.
be really accurate about that. And then the team does the rest. And then you spend the rest of your time getting even better at doing what you do best.
Love it. All right. Well, thanks, listeners, for tuning in today. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and actionable ideas that can help your business be more profitable. And I know that hiring right the first time and making it stress free on your side, you're going to be
Mhm.
so much more happier with the results. So please take Dr. Mike up on his offer of doing a free consultation and figuring out where he can and how he can help you hire in. So I know that it's going to be a lifesaver for your growth in the new year. So as I mentioned, it's time for a new fresh perspective. That's why I'm offering my free growth and marketing audit. And in just one powerful session, we'll uncover opportunities to drive real growth in your business. So if you're ready to make that impact, go visit profitbooster.biz and let's get started. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. You don't want to miss future shows because we're always on Tuesdays. You can find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. This was amazing.
It was fantastic talking with you today. Thanks for having me as a guest.